everyone, I go by the name E.B AMEZA-XEMALORDZO. Today, I am here with my group to talk about why highly educated people find it difficult to think critically. Imagine a world where everyone has access to education, yet misinformation, poor decision and social conflict still exist. This raises an important question. Why, if critical thinking is so essential, why do even creative people find it difficult to think critically? I can see the confusion on your faces. That's why myself and my group, we are here to explore the paradox of examining the rules of logic, cognitive bias, education and epistemology. We will argue that education alone does not guarantee critical thinking because human reasoning is often influenced by emotions, assumptions, social pressure, and limitation on how we acquire knowledge.
Hi everyone, I am Majid Surihan and I'm here to talk about the case for critical thinking, why scholars and policymakers insist it is essential to development. Critical thinking isn't just an academic exercise, it is the literal fuel for human, social and economic development. According to John Dewey, How We Think argued that education must move away from just pouring facts into students' heads. Instead, train minds to understand real-world problems and find practical solutions to them. Critical thinking is a shield against deception, bad financial decisions, and manipulation. The idea is a person who thinks critically doesn't just accept information from someone because the person is an influencer, a politician, or someone close to them. They weigh evidence before making life-altering choices. At this point, I'm going to leave it for the next person to continue.
According to the Nkrumah 2011, people often rely on fast, automatic thinking rather than careful analysis. Biases such as confirmation bias and the Nkrumah effect distort judgment. Emotions also influence decisions, making objective reasoning difficult. Thank you.
My name is Kwame, and I'm doing a brief summary on cognitive barriers to critical thinking. The executive overview is that human cognition operates via two modes. There's the System 1, which is fast, effortless, and prone to systematic biases, and System 2, which is slow, analytical, and computationally expensive. Critical thinking is frequently sabotaged because the brain naturally resorts to the default System 1 to conserve energy. The biological shortcut introduces fundamental cognitive distortions. Now, confirmation bias, which filters reality to existing narratives. The Nkrumah effect, where ignorance breeds unwanted certainty, and emotional reasoning, which substitutes subjective internal feelings for objective factual evidence. Thank you.
We're going to talk about the educational and social barriers to critical thinking. And one, we are going to talk about the rote learning culture, which speaks of education method, where students memorizes facts, answers, information without fully understanding them, which prevents us from thinking critically. Somebody may ask why, and it's because, one, students focus on memorizing answers without fully understanding them. And a brief example is that a student memorizes a science formula without knowing how or why it works in real-life situations. Memorization develops memory, whilst critical thinking develops understanding. And for the authority difference, it occurs where people, family, parents, and teachers are unquestionable source of information.
My name is Ernest Sasu Jr. A degree proves you can pass examination, but it doesn't prove you can think for yourself. Here is why higher education doesn't guarantee critical thinking. These are some of the points. The chill and poor trap. Traditional education rewards memorization over analysis. If you only need to reproduce slides to get an A, you are training your memory, not your mind. And the second point is respect for authority versus skepticism. Lecture halls often teach you how to accept what professors and textbooks say without question. Critical thinking requires evaluating the evidence, regardless of who is speaking. The bottom line is, education will give you information, but critical thinking is a habit you have to build for yourself, actively questioning why and how things work. Thank you.
Why education does not guarantee critical thinking. According to Matthew Lipman, education does not automatically guarantee critical thinking because traditional schooling often emphasizes the acquisition of information rather than the development of reasoning skills. Lippmann argued that students may learn facts but still be unable to think independently and make sound judgment. Critical thinking develops when students actively question, analyze, and evaluate facts rather than receiving information from teachers.
Talking about the pathways forward in critical thinking is very, very crucial. Critical thinking itself is not just for our academic journey, but also it helps us in solving real life problems and also making better decisions and choices. Building strong critical thinking helps us to be open-minded, curious, and also learn other perspectives rather than just accepting information as it is. To conclude what I'm saying, critical thinking is just not an academic tool, but also it's a lifelong tool that helps us or guide us in order to be successful in our work, school, and also our everyday activities. Thank you.
In summary, while critical thinking is vital for growth, it remains difficult to achieve. We are constantly limited by our own cognitive biases and an educational system that values credentials over genuine understanding. Overcoming these challenges requires a shift towards an environment that encourages inquiry rather than memorization. Ultimately, a true education is not defined by a degree, but by the willingness to question assumptions and think independently. Thank you.